Welcome to the London Property Podcast, your go-to source for navigating the complex and ever-changing London real estate market. Our digital marketplace provides informative and educational content from industry leaders through podcasts and videos. We cover various aspects of the real estate experience, including buying and selling, finance, law, tax, construction, design, and more. Join us as we delve into the latest trends and developments in the market and gain valuable insights from our panel of experts.
Hello and welcome to London Property. I am your host Farnaz Fazaipour, and today we are delighted to welcome William Bishop of Oliver Bernard Private.
Correct.
In Mayfair. Welcome
Absolutely.
to the show.
Thanks for having me. Excited.
So just before we go into the details, can you just tell us a little bit about your personal involvement in the market, what you actually specialise in, and obviously your firm's area of speciality?
Yeah, of course. So myself, I'm a senior advisor within Oliver Bernard Private, based on Bruton Street in Mayfair, and generally speaking cover all of prime central London. So sort of we were very much Mayfair centric, but now we seem to be doing a lot of work in Belgravia, sort of the top part of Chelsea, Knightsbridge, even up into Marylebone. So really sort of expanding our breadth in that regard. We are a sort of a small boutique office, but we've all come from the big corporate firms. So, you know, XJLL, Carter Jonas, Knight Frank, myself, I was at Marshall and Parsons. So we've sort of all done the big firm, and now we've come together to create sort of something small, but hopefully mighty.
Yes, I like it very much. I think you're doing a great job. So what can you report has been going on in the past 12 months in your immediate market?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very interesting 12 months. Generally speaking, for some context, we generally deal between sort of circa 1.5, 2 million up to 50 million, with, you know, occasionally a few things going above that. So, you know, a real breadth of that prime and super prime market. Patchy is the word I would use. Because I don't really see any sort of direct correlations. It seems some weeks we're incredibly busy and other weeks, you know, it's a sort of a slight case of tumbleweed, and we have to be incredibly proactive. And I think at Oliver Bernard OB, I'll probably reference as, we have always been very conscious that we pedal incredibly hard when we're going through these sort of slower times, maybe, you know, post-Christmas, being in Mayfair, a lot of our market are abroad, they're skiing, they're in the Caribbean. So, you know, viewing numbers are notoriously down. And even though we can drive incredibly hard to get these up, you know, if people aren't in the country, you can't get the viewings, right? So then we're looking at what can we be doing and making the most use of that time so that we've got a springboard into the busier patches. And I think luckily that's really paid off this year. And we've had some fantastic months. This last 2 months, I would say, has been really good for us, getting a lot of property under offer, which is hugely encouraging. But I would say we had a pretty slow start to the year. I would say generally the market seemed very slow on the first time of the year. Of course, there were some agents getting things under offer, but, you know, on a day-to-day out viewing with other agents in Mayfair, Belgravia, Chelsea, you know, that was, for me anyway, the word on the street. People were really sort of head against the wall, pedaling hard, but not really seeing much reward. So yeah, it's been an interesting one, but I've got hopefully quite a positive outlook actually sort of moving forward. So we'll see what happens.
So what was the trend of these last 2 months where you saw a lot of people making offers? What is the profile of these buyers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because ultimately stock levels, I would say, are very good at the moment. But, you know, ultimately new applicants registering, is down. And although the viewing levels are high at the moment, in terms of actually getting offers, and good offers at that, is actually down. So I think it's about 5% less registrations in sort of May into June than there were last year, as an example, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in that prime central market, you know, it very much adds up. I think in terms of, you know, we tend to sort of late spring into the summer see some more of our foreign buyers coming across, which is obviously, you know, fantastic for us because a lot of our work is with people from the US, Europe, the Middle East, Asia, you know, all over the shop. And, you know, I'm just trying to think of, you know, the last several properties we've got under offer have been with overseas buyers. So I think that, that's where it's going to be interesting moving forwards into the summer. We have a very short selling market in the prime central patch, normally sort of mid to late spring into that kind of up until late August, September, and then sometimes a little flurry at the end. So yeah, that's kind of where we would say for now.
So your predictions for the next coming year is
it's
more
going to be
activity?
An interesting year.
Yeah.
I think that the agents who don't rest on their laurels and work very hard are going to see reward. But I think that there is a big change in trend at the moment. And maybe the agents who have been around for a long time have had their success and perhaps have, dare I say, got a little sleepy. It's not going to benefit them at all at the moment. And I think proactiveness and, buyers are like gold dust at the moment. It seems a bit cliche, but if you have a good buyer, you need to make sure that you've shown them everything on the market. And the nice thing with being in this prime central patch is, you can utilize huge amounts of relationships with other agents. So, I'm out today with a gentleman who's just moved back from Australia. I've been out viewing with him twice. He nearly offered on something in Knightsbridge last week, but hasn't in the end. So I'm showing him 6 more properties today. 3 of those are ours, 3 of them with different agents that I know very well in the area, to really sort of capitalize on the relationship with him, and to ensure that ultimately he is a buyer for me and he doesn't go down the road and buy through someone else because I haven't offered him something. So it's being a little bit creative when we're out on viewings, asking other agents what new stock they've got on, maybe off market, or saying, look, I've got a really, really good buyer at the moment. What have you got? And you never know, they might just bring you that property that you needed. And that's how the sale gets agreed.
Good for you. Enthusiasm goes a long way.
I think so, absolutely.
So what's your opinion about the elections and its effects on the housing market?
I mean, a big question. Who knows? I think for me, my view on it at the moment is bring it on. I think we kind of know what the result's going to be. Whether that's good or bad, we'll see. But uncertainty at the moment is and notoriously always is what hurts and wounds the market. So whatever happens and whatever the effects, we can work with those when they come. But for now, we are having buyers who are saying, I'm just going to hold fire, or maybe vendors that want to come to the market, but they're reticent to do so until they have a clear plan. But I think it's sort of asking people realistically, whatever the result of what happens in the election, are you going to not buy in London? And most of them will go, well, I probably still will. So it's kind of saying, well, actually, if you're in a position, mainly sort of, let's say you're a cash buyer and you have the facilities to move quickly, I think actually you're better to jump on it now, secure something that you love, have potentially a short completion before the elections, and, be done with it.
And you have certainty and you know where you are.
You know where you are. But I always think that there is that kind of worry that, well, what happens if potentially waiting for the election to happen is more favourable? Will it be? I don't think so. But, even with our clients, pricing at the moment, I would say, is probably the most important topic in terms of properties that are priced well will sell. And if they are overpriced, even by, 5%, they sit there and they become stagnant. I was reading an article this morning, I think 37% of properties in Mayfair have had price reductions since listed, and it's more in, Fulham, it's more in Chelsea, which is, it's nearly 0.5% in some of these boroughs, 50%, sorry, it's huge. So I think, what we're doing as an agency at Oliver Bernard is going along with, a real strategy of bringing on new stock. We will try it off market for a couple of weeks to test that price. And if we get loads of viewings through the door and hopefully an offer, then we know we've priced it, immaculately and it's going to sell. Whereas, an example the other day, we had new instruction. We wanted to try it for the client at 1.8 million, 2 weeks off market, despite, a lot of trying, calling out, old school agency and using, the modern techniques, social media, etc. We just didn't get anywhere. We had sort of said, we think it's realistically going to sell at 1.65. And within 5 days, we had a buyer, it's under offer, and we're moving forwards well. So it's just a really good example of when things are priced correctly, they'll sell. But I think that, people that are maybe being greedy or don't need to sell, and they think, we'll just wait until after the election. I think, sadly, that might come back to bite them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the market's bottomed out, frankly, and I think that if anybody's waiting for it to bottom out anymore, I think the prime central London, time and time again, proves itself that if I can't get what I want, I'll just wait, and then it just goes flat. So bargain hunting has a limit, and I think the only way you can bargain hunt is to actually get out there, get active, bang on the doors, and see who's willing to accept it.
Definitely.
Okay, so I know that you do primarily sales, but what is your opinion about the rental market?
Yeah, so nail on the head. Don't do rentals as such, but we're a small office. We talk a lot because I think it's actually interesting and useful to know, a decent amount about the rental market in case you're out with buyers and they go, look, well, we've tried, we've been out with you 6 times, we haven't found what we wanted, we might just rent. And therefore having the knowledge to say, well, actually, it's interesting. However, maybe don't because, for example, it's definitely tailed off slightly. I mean, the summer market is notoriously always pretty much busy for rentals. But, as you well know, the last sort of year really has just been pretty bonkers. And we've been seeing huge increases in rental prices, up to sort of 20%, whether that be long let or short let, a huge demand. And with sort of supply and demand, as we know, with sales at the moment, there is less demand, but huge amounts of supply. Therefore, prices are coming down. But with rentals, it's been slightly different. And, stuff that is, again, overpriced has been sat there, but stuff presented at the right price, they've had competing bids and things have been going on, long term with, hardly a break clause in there. But I think it'll be sort of fairly stable for the rest of the summer, and then we might see a drop off sort of end of September, as we often do coming to that winter market. But, we've got a brilliant rental team and the guys are working incredibly hard, similar to sales. There's a lot of competition out there. Once you have that good person looking to rent, it's key to be utilising the market and not just our available stock in order to get people through the door.
And then finally, the question is non-doms. Have you any personal experience seeing that they're leaving, or do you think that there's a lot of chatter and a lot of reaction, but not actually a real solid plan behind non-doms?
Again, it's difficult to really see what the implications are going to be at the moment. It's interesting, even before we come on to the non-doms themselves, how other people, whether they're search agents, estate agents, how they're reacting in the market. Some people have got a very relaxed approach, whereas others are, I wouldn't say freaking out, but they're being very dramatic about the whole thing. And I think that some people, maybe search agents that very much specialize in foreign money coming across, maybe, an Italian search agent with very wealthy Italians coming over, it might hit them more than someone who's dealing with more UK buyers who are not non-dom. Do I think it's going to affect? I think that a lot of people that were looking to buy are potentially now going to look to rent just to sort of see what the situation is going to be. But sadly, the UK government is not making it easy for us and for, very wealthy foreigners who are coming over to hopefully benefit us as a nation. It's not attractive. Monaco, Italy, there's a lot of other places now where it makes a lot more sense to reside as a sort of a resident and then have your main residence somewhere else. It's just going to push that wealth out of town, and that affects stamp duty. It affects spending, in a general sense, restaurants, boutique shops, all of this, and whether that's going to help the UK economy. Personally, I can see why people have potentially an issue with it, feeling like why should they not pay this tax? But at the same time, if we look at it in a different angle, I think it's detrimental perhaps, for us as property people for sure. But it has sort of wider implications on that, I think, which is going to be interesting to see what, unfolds over the coming weeks, months, years as that does get phased out.
Yes, well, hopefully speaking English will help us win that battle. Amongst going to Italy, going to Monaco. But no, I definitely agree with you. It was really good having you on the show, and thank you for sharing your insights. And we'll definitely have you back in our next publications.
That's very kind. Thanks very much.
Thanks for tuning in to our latest episode of the London Property Podcast. Head over to our website where you can browse our exclusive network of top experts driving the market. As a member, you'll have direct access to our experts and their networks. Our award-winning content will help you choose the right professionals for your needs and make informed decisions about your investments. Personal recommendations are a powerful tool in connecting with trusted professionals. Let us introduce you to the right people to help you achieve your real estate goals. Contact us now to learn more about becoming a member and gaining access to these valuable resources, or joining our directory of experts.